Disaster Management Institute.
All India Disaster Mitigation Institute is a community-based action and learning
How old is it?
organization.
And
It was started in 1995,
I see.
and we've been looking at disaster risk. But how could you separate from conflict risk or climate risk? So we look at risk that affects communities.
So, at what scale could you be most effective?
Um, we work at multiple scales or multiple levels, and we work directly with communities and try to bring what we see that to national level, and what we see at national level, we try to bring that at community level. So, um, um, making links of issues, and I think there is a big gap on that, especially in the risk reduction area. So we
And
do
as far
that.
as India goes, I mean, what are the big challenges in risk reduction at this point?
I think we claim that we've turned around and changed the paradigm of from relief to preparedness. But in reality, if you go to a district level, there is still very much a response approach. There are district disaster management plans. We just studied 6 of them across the country. And with all good intention, they are only contingency plan. That is, should something go wrong, how they respond. But they don't talk about preparedness or recovery so far. And I think that's the challenge, that how do you make district disaster management plans which are dealing with ecological risk, disaster risk, other types of risk, and are funded and owned by local communities or local panchayats, that these are our plans.
For a country like India, I mean, it's a pressing problem at this time because we have some amount of resources, but not enough, and we have glowing climate change issues.
I'm not quite sure that we have some amount of resources. I think we have a lot of resources. It's issue of allocating resources, and second, making sure that resources that we allocate are used for the result that it is supposed to achieve. 10 years ago, yes, perhaps we were short of resources, rightly. But now we have a lot of resources, both in the government and more importantly, corporate sector. You know, how much resources they have, and at least it is in their business interest to make sure that environmental risk and disaster risk are taken care of more carefully than they have been in the past.
Is there some kind of classification of disasters in India? What hits us more and
Yeah, there is National Disaster Management Authority has done a whole range of work in terms of vulnerability of
so for people
floods.
like me who don't know it, the issue, I mean,
You
what
could go to the National Disaster Management
and
Authority website, and they
but
have a
what are
lot
the
of
most
material.
pressing three problems that face us?
Oh, from my point of view, it's the floods and droughts and cyclones are the three most common disasters which happen repeatedly. And then there's an earthquake, which from time to time. Increasingly so industrial disasters,
I see.
and they haven't happened, thank God. May God forbid.
Yeah.
But they are very likely to happen, very likely to happen.
And the flooding is getting worse, flooding and weather-related problems in recent years. There seem to be a whole lot of extremities of weather in that sense. Is it our perception or is it really getting worse in monsoon Asia?
Um, I think part of it is now we are more aware because of TV and visual coverage. We see it more sitting in our own house, which we didn't
Yeah.
do in the past. But part of it is that it is more areas and more communities or more development is affected by floods than it was in the past. Both in terms of extent of flooding, that is for how long the flooding takes place, how repeatedly it happens, and also the severity of floods or the damage that it causes is increasing. But there isn't a systematic view on what flooding is doing in our country, and either from academics or from the policymakers, and that's perhaps is quite timely.
Thank you.